Good morning. I got this new, there we go. Morning. See if notifications come up. Oh, there they are. There they are. This can be the thumbnail. So, good morning. If you're watching the replay, it's kind of warm out here, so I don't know how long this live feed will be. But, yeah, I've got a few thoughts. And that's what this whole platform's for, right? Right? So, Jason, what's up, man? And we still might go live tonight on the big channel, do like Ask Me Anything kind of a deal. Anyways, I got this great tripod thing that's been pretty cool. So, got mosquitoes out here. So again, I don't know how long I'll do this live feed, but and this is going to be a little bit different. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that, Don. We're gonna talk about that. Yeah, so we'll get some more people in here. There's 6 people in here. This channel doesn't really get a whole lot of views, which is fine. Yeah, let me get this on the other phone here so I can read the comment without like doing this, you know. Nobody wants to see a close up of this. Trust me. All right. Even the wife probably closes her eyes when she kisses me. So let's see. Okay. Like that thumbnail. Shannon sent me that thumbnail. It's a 3-axle truck, but so the creator surely likes to make me watch me sweat. Yeah, it's man, I wish YouTube would get rid of this stupid heart thing because it makes it hard to read that comment that's right there. Apparently YouTube's being stupid as well. Let me close that. All right. Oh, that's why it's doing that. Okay. I'm not used to that. All right. So first of all, I want to apologize for people that thought I was actually depressed. So I did that so that one YouTube short was a reaction to something that CB had said in my live feed yesterday morning, how someone wasn't being nice on the internet towards me and Jeffrey Light. And so I wanted to do a video mocking someone that might be depressed over that. And apparently no one saw maybe it's because of how I look. Like when I actually smile, I still look angry, but no one saw the smile at the end of the short, and I had like my phone blowing up of people that thought I was actually depressed. And like Don left this really nice long comment towards it, you know, WCF Invader, and so I ended up taking it down because I don't want people thinking that I'm going to put a fake emotion out there just for views. And so I thought it'd be funny, but apparently it went over everybody's heads. I also uploaded a video on this channel yesterday. I was walking around with a cat and dog, and that also seemed pointless, so I took that down. So that's where the title comes in, that I talk too much, and therefore Sometimes I try to put out a message and it doesn't come across very well. I'm not very articulate in conversation. I say things all the time that I don't really, because I don't get that message out there correctly or clearly. And sometimes it's misconceived, or it's people concentrate on one part of the message but not on the other. So, but CB, that's the thing. CB says I didn't mean to cause a ruckus. It didn't cause ruckus. That's just it. So I went and watched the replay of that, and there's nothing really to like that person's issue with Jeffrey Light. I don't. That's between him and Jeff, right? So let me explain something, and this is kind of ties into what I was going to talk about. So here's an extra book, excellent book, not extra book, excellent book, right? I'm going to read a passage to you guys. The dangers of the last days. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times, for people will only will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. That's Timothy, 2 Timothy, verse 3, 1 through 5. Does that sound familiar? That sounds like a lot of people that I've seen on social media. Sounds like a lot of people I know personally. And what I thought was interesting is looking at the chat, watching that replay of that video, and seeing the people that I thought were okay with me, maybe not so much. So it's just, that's the destruction of social media, right? And I've lost a friend over this platform. Big Rig CEO and we were great friends, and I lost him as a friend over that, over my ego, over my anger, right? So I get it, man. I'm not pure by no means. We're all guilty of it to a certain extent. And so I just reflect on that, and but CB, you didn't cause a ruckus. But the reality is, if you hadn't said anything, I wouldn't have never known it was happening. There might have been a friend that, because a lot of my friends don't go, man, you should have heard what so-and-so said about you, woo. Because they know that I'm not really concerned with that. Now, if something potentially dangerous could happen, these friends will warn me. But at least I would hope that. But there's nothing dangerous of what was going on, other than just watching someone self-destruct, and the amount of people that enjoy watching someone self-destruct. So that bothers me a little bit. But but hey, I'm in control of my emotions. So if it bothers me, I need to figure out why. And at the end of the day, it comes down to a certain sadness that something like that even happens. And so I just happened to be thumbing through this book, and that passage came out. Now, mind you, I'm not a memorizer of this book. I haven't memorized anything. But I have an app that kind of does a daily devotional thing, and I was looking at that, and that passage came up. It was a different passage that the app was talking about, but this passage like literally presented itself, and I immediately went live when I read that. So let me read that again, okay? Just for the ones in the back that aren't listening. Now, I don't care what your religion is. This is common sense. This is something that you should know. This, Timothy, in the last days there will be very difficult times, for people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. I mean, so let me pause there. So, TikTok, anyone? Have you seen what these teenagers are putting out? Have you seen what these kids are getting away with these days? They will consider nothing sacred. Pause. How many of these protesters are going in these like big cities in Europe, and they're destroying like classic paintings? They're defacing churches. They're defacing historical monuments, right? Okay. They will be unloving and unforgiving. I have a friend that won't forgive an action that I have, so therefore he won't be my friend anymore. I know a lot of people like that. They will slander others and have no self-control. Well, we've been talking about that, right? They will be cruel and hate what is good. I once watched a YouTuber tear apart someone that gives all of his YouTube money to charity. This person attacked this other YouTuber simply because he disagrees with something that he did, even though, and this guy does nothing but contribute a lot to charity. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. I know a couple other YouTubers and people on Facebook and all that are like that. They sit there and say they're religious. They sit there and say they believe in God, but their actions behind the scenes don't reflect that. Oh, hold on. Okay. Shannon obviously doesn't realize I'm live. So, now whether we're in the final days or not, I don't know. If you look at the history of empires that have fallen, we kind of resemble a lot of that. So, take that at face value. Call me full of crap. Do what you do, right? Do what you do. So let's go with comments here. Jason, what's up? Kitty Craze with Dar, good morning. Mr. Charles, good morning. Desert Okie Pam. WCF Invader, you really scared me yesterday, boss. I'm glad that was sarcasm. Also looks like I found like a lane for the time being. There you go. CB says the creator surely likes to watch me sweat. I think that's the entire country, so it's not just you. Make sure you hydrate. I didn't mean to cause a ruckus. Okay, we already addressed that. You know what? Sometimes it's good to find out the friends you have. I met you purely for business, but in meeting you, I found a friend. Love you like a brother. Also, very interest in that metal Bible. I'll send you a website, Don, of where you can get it. I would say it's a thing with himself and himself alone. Nobody has control over another's opinions, or feelings. That's true. I'm ready to go home to glory. Kind of wish it would hurry up. Oh, come on now. My grandpa once told me the devil does his best work in the church. That's absolutely true. I rejected a lot of philosophy because of the actions of people that claim they're religious and they're not. So, empires wear wooden shoes walking up the stairs and silk slippers down. Voltaire. Yep, that's a good, Tolga, what's up, man? That's a good saying. So it's just sorry, I've been fighting this chest thing. I don't know what it is, but there's, as I've gotten older, well, let's go back to the original intention of this video was not conveying my message correctly. And I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to talk more intelligently. I don't know how to, because, sometimes I'm making a point and I've got it in my head, but I'm not explaining it well. Like, I don't think I'm a good teacher because of that. I have in high school, I had this science teacher. And he had to make everything sound complex. At least that's what it was in my head. It was a mixed class. It wasn't just freshmen. It was my freshman year. And I felt completely out of my league, right? And he would even go as far as pick up this writing instrument and delicately put a description of, pick up your pencil and put this down. He couldn't even do that. And so my lab partner had to dumb it down for me. And we're like, oh, well, why doesn't he just say that? Why doesn't he just say, pick up your pencil, write this, problem down? Why doesn't he just say that? And because my mind doesn't work in complexities, I tend to oversimplify things. When I'm looking at a picture like, say, the spot market, I'm looking at the overall big picture. I'm not looking at the complexities, although I'm involved in the complexities, and you have to be aware of the complexities. I don't let it overwhelm me to inaction, right? And, it's like reading tax laws. They're over complex. You need a lawyer to read some of this stuff. And I'm not a lawyer. I was not educated like that. I was lucky to get through high school. Don't get me wrong, my grade point average in high school was pretty good. But I did the minimum work. I just have to be talented at the minimum work. And that's kind of reflected when I look at things in my life, that I'm a master at minimum work. Not because I'm lazy, but because I don't fully dive into something unless I truly appreciate it. And what I found with this dispatch is I find myself engrossed in it. And therefore, I feel like I'm doing a service for some people, and I enjoy that because my intentions are good. That it's not about taking as much money as I can. It's about trying to make sure that my drivers, the customers I'm dealing with, and the brokers and the carrier are all getting what they need. Sometimes above what I need. And I'm trying to fix that a little bit, but yeah, I agree with you, old school. Everything is simple. People complicate everything by overthinking. And so, like, when it comes to owning a trucking business or any business, it's like, figure out, like, if you owned a restaurant, okay, figure out what people like and what they're willing to pay for it, and do that. That's the basics, right? That's the basics. When it comes to trucking, figure out what the customer needs and do that. Count your money. And if something's not working, figure something out. It doesn't mean you're a failure. You know, there was a sentence that was said that people that went from van to reefer, it's because they were failing. Well, if you look at it like that, then yeah, something was not working, so you changed it. That's not failing, that's learning, right? If it still doesn't solve the problem, then that's where it's a problem, right? If I go from van to reefer and I'm still struggling, then there's something else to the struggle, right? If you're one of these guys that went from van to flatbed and that didn't solve your problem, or van to reefer, or maybe you went from reefer to van and it didn't solve your problem, there's a different problem that you need to address. That's not failure, that's learning, right? And you know, and 9 times out of 10, it's up here. It's in your head. You can't get out of your own way. And a lot of people don't want to accept that. You know, I was watching that Restaurant Impossible. There was this lady that worked at this restaurant for 10 years, and they were getting ready to close it because the owner died of cancer. So she's like, I'll buy it. And then she struggled for 10 years, not knowing really why. And then the Restaurant Impossible dude comes in and goes, well, because you don't know your costs. You don't know what your people like. You don't even know what your best-selling dish is. And it was like this revelation, like once she knew that, they're still in business today, which is extremely rare for a restaurant, a mom and pop restaurant. So you have to simplify, but when people want me to talk about complexities, it's hard for me to get that message out. People want to talk about how do I look at a load, or how do I look for freight, or how do I negotiate. I'm kind of afraid to do that because I can't explain it very well. All I know is what works and what doesn't. Well, I do this, this, and this, but that's not always the case. Because you'll have people that will take every literal word you've ever said and like, well, dude, I tried what you told me and it's not working. It's your fault that I'm failing. My fault. My only failure is I guess I didn't get my message out. And so I'm trying to fix that, right? Pale Rider, what's up? Todd Ray, good morning. Shannon, we were going over Timothy 2, 2 Timothy 3:1, verse 3, or yeah, chapter 3, verse 1. If you're clearly talented at load planning, revenue efficiency, and presumably dispatching, the critics are just jealous. I'm not gonna call it jealousy. You know, people call me as, dude, so and so's just jealous, and I'm like, that doesn't solve anything to call it that. It doesn't. If that's supposed to make me feel better, it could, I guess. But that's just like it omits the information, and it's quick for me to just, well, he's just jealous. That's a judgment, right? That's a quick judgment that doesn't solve anything. And I think that's the problem with the world. I think that's the problem with this whole situation, is that there is quick judgment that doesn't resolve anything, which is what 2 Timothy chapter 3 talks about, is that like, I'm trying to process what my thoughts are saying without sounding like stupid. Okay, I'll give you an example. So I had a girlfriend back in high school, and we would go to the mall. I mean, that's what teenagers did, right? And we would be sitting in the food court, and a good-looking girl would walk by, and I wasn't gawking at her. I'm just existing, right? I'm just sitting there, I'm not like, look, hey, check her out. I wasn't doing that. But I would watch my girlfriend, and she would like look at that woman or girl and say, she'd have the head bob thing, right? And I'm like, what? She's like, she's probably a slut. Okay. Or she's probably this, she's probably that, and did the head bob, that women do, right? and I would sit there and I say in my mind, well, she's just jealous because she doesn't wear outfits like that, or she doesn't look like that. Now, mind you, my girlfriend looked good. She was fine. She just didn't have the confidence to wear some of these outfits that she would see. And so I could easily dismiss that, well, she's just jealous, right? But I didn't. I did it. Let's not be a liar. I did at the time, but I kept the thought. I was smart and kept the thought to myself. But after a time, when I really dove into it, it was a confidence issue, not a jealousy issue. And so therefore, it was her lack of confidence that she would not be able to wear these outfits that these other girls were wearing, of why she was upset at their existence. Does that make sense? In other words, when you sit there and say, well, they're just jealous, you're not diving into the real problem of why that conflict is there. That's the key. And so when people call me and say, oh, so-and-so's just jealous, okay, but that doesn't solve anything. Yes, obviously there's an emotion there, but that's deeply rooted in something else. And that's it. So I don't dwell on it. I don't dismiss it, but I don't sit there and let it affect how I do things. my ego doesn't need to be stroked by saying that someone is just jealous. You know, because maybe there is an aspect of something that I'm doing that is probably annoying. You know, or how does this look to somebody else? Like promoting 123 low board. How does that look to someone that may not like that low board? It probably looks pretty stupid. Or maybe, now, that's why I've made it very clear that I've never said that the 123 is better than DAT, because it doesn't have the volume DAT does. And I have openly displayed the DAT on my videos. I've openly looked at the volumes on DAT. I tell the drivers privately. WCF and Vader can attest to that. And then some of the light guys, that you need the low level DAT at least to be able to book freight if you're booking your own freight. Right? And so, do I promote the 123? Absolutely, because I do believe in their platform. I do like their platform. And they have other tools besides the load board aspect that are really handy for single truck operators. And that's it. And do I get a piece of that? Yeah. It literally says paid promotional blah 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 crap that YouTube wants you to put on your deal. And I've openly admitted that there was a time where I wasn't using it. You know why? Because I had enough brokers and enough options in the chambers that I didn't really need it. So therefore, when I was cutting costs, I deleted it. But then with the current times, they've had loads. Look, Load Smart doesn't. They don't go on dat board. You know, and then there was a time where if I wanted to look at all the TQL and JB Hunt and all that stuff, it was on the 123 low board, but the 123 low board's not even showing the JB Hunt. TQL's not even on there. JB Hunt's not even on there. And with all the AI and the parade and the GoHighway.com and all that stuff, green screens that's coming out, all the low boards are going to struggle. But if freight comes back, gangbusters again, you want as many options as you can. And when I look at the DAT and I see a bunch of no credit score brokers that are posting, that volume means nothing when I can't use I can't even call on half the loads on there because they don't have a credit score. I don't want to put my carrier or my own trucks at that risk. So, I don't know why I'm covering my mouth. The microphone's picking everything up, but sorry about that. But I get it. People don't like it when you promote something. People don't like it when, like, you know, Road Pro wanted me to promote their products. I tried, and their products were crap. And the lady that was trying to set that up with me, she no longer works for that company. And it just kind of shows that, you know, because I want to put out an honest product. And that's how it is, you know. I don't promote a product that I don't use. Man, sorry about that, guys. I can't mute the thing that quickly. Okay. You can explain it, maybe just if you can appreciate and or relate no matter what. Ponzi, good to see you. But again, Ponzi, that's a great comment. I appreciate that. But I want to learn, right? When I don't get a message across, I want to learn why. And a lot of times it's because the person doesn't want to listen. I get that, but I want to be able to discern between people that are willing to listen and don't understand, and people that don't want to listen and don't understand. There's a difference between those two. It's going to be slightly related to the topic, but people started to type their high schools on their resumes nowadays because most of the high schools turn into more higher quality than the universities. Tolga, that's part of it, but like my son was applying for a driving job and they wanted 10 years of educational experience, and the AI application wouldn't let it process if he didn't fill in the entire thing. So that might be part of that, but yeah, I do believe, well, no, I will disagree that schools are no better than universities. They're both, the narratives that they're pushing in the schools, and I know because I had a teenager just graduate, ever since, for the last 10 years, their narratives are very anti-American, anti-capitalism, and they want you to be a victim. Shannon says, yay, good morning. You were clearly, okay, we already read that. Tolga, well said, Snorelord. That's why I don't accept anything as a failure or success for myself. Other people usually judging us is fact. Just goes to prove you can't fix stupid, right? And that's the thing. Why are we quick to call people failures? You know, that was one of the arguments on that live feed replay that I watched. You know, people were calling another YouTuber a failure, even though he's sitting at home not having to drive a truck. And I've been accused of that as well. When I look back, and deep down inside, I'm like, well, that was my goal, was to eventually get on the truck. And look, I'm second generation, trucking's in my blood kind of person. But I also need to provide for my family. I also need to be here for my family mentally and spiritually as well. Because there's some struggles going on that I just don't put out to here. It's simple as that. And see, that's the thing. When someone attacks someone else on the internet, you have no idea what they're going through. You know, we're like, you know, that person that cut you off in traffic, maybe they just got back from a funeral. Maybe they just got news that their job went away. Maybe they got news that a friend of theirs died and they're barely able to get home. Or maybe they're just an ass and don't know how to drive. Either way, it shouldn't affect, unless they hit you, it shouldn't affect your day. It should not affect your happiness. Stay in your lane and hope nobody hits you. And be aware of people that will try to hit you or will hit you because they're not paying attention. That's how you go through life. Shannon says, well, I listened to you and it changed everything for me. Because I actually did it, even when it was painful. Yeah, I've showed Shannon some tough love. I had to work a lot on really dialing in and help in so many ways for the better of my business. Thank you for all you do, brother. I appreciate the compliment. I really do. I like the 123 low board better for two reasons. One, less scams, and two, because I got that Snorelord to help find loads that has access to the DAT. You have always been honest about it. Thank you. Will Bunner says, good morning. Yeah, Dart says the school narratives are not good. Sponsored by Gen Xer Society, let them cry on the curb. Everyone has a different path to success, right? So you're a success by far not a failure. Isn't that truck your backup plan at this point? Yeah, but even if, look, here's the deal. Even if I sold the truck tomorrow, which, could happen if the right amount of money was offered. If I wanted to get back in the truck, I'd just buy another. The cost of reentry is not as high as it was last year. And things are progressing forward in the what I'm trying to establish. And I also am not going to, like, eventually the truck needs to be changed out anyways. I'm not a guy that's going to bring a truck to 1,000,000 miles and hope for the best. I love that truck, but I'm not married to it, right? Whoops. Nothing wrong with someone at home while others drive the truck. It's affordable and you can get home time with your family. Go for it, says Dar. CB says, for what it's worth, you inspire me to eat better on the road. Well, thank you, CB. When somebody does something stupid on the road in front of Darlene, she loses her mind and comes unglued. I always tell her, how do you know he doesn't have an ice cream cake in the trunk? That's true. But when I was watching this live replay, I was watching a lot of people that I thought I trusted become untrustworthy. And that was I wasn't, like, I actually laughed at some of the things that were said. Because, and I started to think, well, why does someone have that impression of me? Maybe I'm not getting my message out there correctly, or maybe I'm just abrasive, or maybe the beard makes people mad. I don't know. Maybe the fact that I'm a metalhead, and I wear heavy metal t-shirts, so I mean, come on. Or maybe I have this narcissistic cool ass logo that people are jealous of. Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't care. I really don't care. My attempts to be sarcastic doesn't work. So that's why I took that video short down. And I do talk too much sometimes. Because eventually I start repeating myself, and then I say too much that goes in the wrong direction. Which is easy to do in these, hour-long live feeds. Man, we're already at 42 minutes. But it's here's what I do know, okay? Here's what I do know. I have this great book that's been helping me through hard times. I have this great book that I wish that I would have known about, but I didn't want to hear the message 10, 20, 30 years ago. What I do know is I have a great group of friends that are supportive, will defend me. Not that I need defending. And are forgiving for when I do become an ass, or when I do become full of myself. We are all victims of ego. We are all victims of our own demise. Our own vices, right? I mean, and I accept the fact that I'm not perfect. I accept the fact that it's progress, not perfection. And if there's a situation that I can learn from, sometimes it has to be shoved in my face for me to learn from it. And every day I'm grateful that I'm breathing. Every day I'm grateful that I have my health, so far. And every day that I can help somebody do better at their business, or maybe be less angry when they talk to brokers, or maybe get a different perception of their lives, of their health, of their trucking business. When I can do that, that is the biggest blessing. And every day I'm grateful for that. And so therefore I try not to do things that are destructive to myself. You know, I used to not like my life. Here's a lesson for you. I'm going to get real close on this. There was a time that I was on the path to alcoholism. It was before I started driving. I hated myself. I felt guilty about everything. I was not being a good man. I was being a weak man. And I drowned my depression, my anxiety, and my sorrows, usually Bacardi 151. Those were tough days. And I recognized it. And I got away from it. Now, does it rear its ugly head on occasion? It does. But as the patterns go, I do it less and less. The patterns have reoccurred less and less. And when I look at that as self-abuse, that shows a lack of gratitude for breathing. That shows a lack of gratitude for the things that are good in your life. So I get it, man. My neighbor died of alcoholism. His family pleaded with him. He didn't listen. His friends, we pleaded with him. Dude, you okay? Is there anything you need? And he died. He literally got up and crashed on the glass coffee table. That's what killed him. I have another friend that lost his career, trucking career, because of alcoholism. And I know several that have lost their families because they just can't get out of their heads. And that comes from a place of pain. For me, it was a place of pain. Now, the social, let's have a beer every now and then, that's fine. But the last time I even did that was April 1st. Chucky says, learn to be wise, not smart. Smart men act on emotions, wise men act on experience. That's a great words, Chucky. You're thinking you talk too much, Snorelord, because you haven't met me yet. That's all good. That's good. Same here. I'm a serial commenter and talker. I had my very first sponsor tell me that the day I reach perfection is the day I have died. I truly believe that. There's nothing wrong with striving for perfection, knowing that I'll never reach it. Well, you know how many times people have told me that the internet's been depressing? Or, I had to get off of YouTube because it was toxic. I'm having to back away from everybody because YouTube's being toxic. You're watching the wrong channels. You're watching the wrong people. You're watching the wrong topics. If you want entertainment, you've got all these streaming services. You got Netflix. You got Spotify. You got podcasts. You got iTunes. You can even get your favorite radio station. You got Pandora. You've got iHeartRadio. You have SiriusXM. And there were some things that SiriusXM supported that I didn't support, and so I got rid of the subscription, even though they were giving it to me for $6 a month. You know, I was like, no, you're done. I don't use you. I have other methods of entertainment now. And you literally have audiobooks free. Let's say you're on a budget and you can't afford Audible. Free audiobooks. They're on YouTube. They're on podcasts. Spotify has a whole audiobook section. Your local library might have an app. Ours is called Hoopla, that you can check out audiobooks for free. You can literally educate yourself going down the road. And you know the great thing about audiobooks is you can rewind them. You know, my biggest challenge with an audiobook is to make sure my mind doesn't wander. I got to get out of my own head. I got to be able to focus on the task. If I'm in heavy traffic, I can't have an audiobook on because I don't need it. It's just background noise. Like when I go to physically read a book, like read a physical book, I have to do like this little mantra meditation beforehand so my mind doesn't wander. It's the ADHD in me. It's the, and I think that these TikToks and the YouTube shorts and everything else are creating a form of ADHD. I really do. Which is probably why I'm not aggressive enough on my YouTube shorts. And when I do, it's something stupid like, oh, here's my knife. Oh, here's a set of Legos, you know, or here's my holster, but not something meaningful, you know, it's or something, you know, I'm not dancing either, you know, so if look, if you see me doing YouTube shorts and I'm dancing, feel free to come over and punch me in the face because there's a problem that needs to be addressed. So if you surround yourself with toxic channels, that's what happens. Lately, I've been watching healthy food, exercise, and animal channels. Absolutely, toxicity is everywhere. People have to learn how to stay away from that. Otherwise, YouTube or other platforms have tons of gens in them. It's like anywhere, Tolga's, even the people in our lives. Don says, Snorelord, the last video I uploaded, I had up for a week, and boy, did I get negative comments. I think that's the reason I haven't uploaded in so long. People can be really nasty on YouTube. Don, and this is from one YouTuber to another. You have to have thick skin. You have to be able to look at someone's comments and reactions and be able to withstand that. Like there's this gal that I follow. She's a knife gal. I follow on my Snorelord OG, I follow a lot of knife channels. I'm weird like that. And a lot of the knife channels are just close-ups, you know, of the person opening a knife. But she does these, and you know, she's a good-looking gal. I think she was on that one of those reality shows. But her hands says that she works hard, right? And I'll read the comments to one of her videos just showing off a knife. And like, oh, your hands are your hands are gross. Your hands are ugly. You know, like really? We're going to tear apart this person because of the way her hands look? Again, that comes from a place of pain. That comes from a place. So you have to remember that when someone makes nasty comments about something you're doing on YouTube. But you have to see if they have any valid reasons. And so you have to be able to discern where that's coming from. And then you can make your adjustments. Your audio is horrible on this. Okay, well, that's something I can fix. That's constructive criticism. Boy, your voice sounds like a cat got ran over. Well, there's not much I can do about that. So that's coming from a place of pain. Because someone with true good intentions is like, man, I wish there was a way that we could filter your voice to make it sound more tone level. You sound like a cat. You know? Squawk, squawk, squawk. And that's all this is. Digital noise, people squawking, making fools of themselves. And so, but here's the other aspect to that, Don. If that brings you down, in other words, if that makes you fearful of putting up another video, then that is an opportunity to look inside yourself to figure out why it bothers you. And once you can figure that one out, then it doesn't matter what anybody else says. You can fix yourself internally by learning how you react. Perfect example, Big Rick CEO made me mad because it bothers me when people say that I'm sitting at home not doing anything. It bothers me when people think that my life is easy simply because I'm not behind the wheel of a truck. It bothers me because people don't realize the work I've put into this and the sacrifices I've made to be able to do what I do. And so when I recognize that's why it bothers me, then I can keep that in check when someone says, hey, Steve, you don't do anything. You sit at home, you don't even drive a truck. Like, well, yeah, that's kind of how I designed it. Right? So there you go, Don. Look inside yourself and figure out why these comments are bothering you. And then you can fix it. CB, you're right, Snorelord. I spent 4 years reading, getting a dual degree, and have learned 100 times more listening to audiobooks. There you go. Everything in your life is about one decision at a time, which requires the skill of being able to slow down and focus on making good choices. Live your life on purpose. That is true. We consume, whether that is food, all the way to the information we consume. Tolga says, Dar, that's for sure, ma'am. Sometimes we can't get rid of everyone from our lives. There's always some sideways to handle most of the situations or the people. Ike Stevens, check this out, Mr. Bonehead Truckers. There you go. You should probably know what this is. I literally fall asleep when I read a physical book. I think it's because I allow my brain to slow down, but I do love Audible. I want people to have freedom of speech, but I'm seeing that fallacy of my thinking now. It's okay to have freedom of speech, says Dar, but not if they're there to just troll. Constructive criticism is great, but anything else to get rid of. So let me bring up the point about freedom, right? We do have the freedom of speech, right? But it can also be used as a weapon. Right? I can say what I want, right? You do the head bob thing even. I could say what I want, right? Here's the reality. Freedom does not translate into comfort. Freedom does not translate into easy. Freedom does not translate to entitlement. But people approach it like that. Freedom takes work. Hey, I want to be a single owner operator with my own authority. I want to be able to choose when and where, how I go, right? That's freedom. But how much work is devoted to keeping that freedom, maintaining that freedom, and enjoying that freedom? That's the key. That's the difference. People don't know what the true word freedom means. It means responsibility. It means hard work. It means the ability to discern when someone's being hurtful, hateful, or just falling victim to their own head games. They have a chance to talk too. The billionaire has the same right to say whatever they want as the same as the crazy guy in the corner that's telling you that the world's about to end. So I will read it again. Just for the people, because we got more people in here. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. You should know this, Timothy, that on the last days there will be very difficult times, for people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. How many social media accounts, how many people personally do you know that are like that? That fall into that category? Quite a few. I have gotten to the point now with YouTube that there's nothing anybody can say that's going to affect me. If you don't like what I'm doing, change the channel. I don't have a gun to anybody's head. When people use freedom as a weapon to attack, they've crossed a line. That line is sometimes blurry. It is. It is blurry. Reality is most make negative or hateful comments or want to tear someone down. They do it to make themselves feel better. Well, I get that. And that's learning, and that's something that Don, you should pay attention to is and look, you got to have a thick skin to be on YouTube, right? There was a time where I almost deleted my channel because of some troll comments, and I'm so glad I didn't. I had a good friend that said, dude, just do this, and this. They don't understand. And you know what the troll comment was? Someone was literally said that a friend of mine that was killed in a car accident probably deserved it because they were driving like an ass. They literally said that. And I'm like, I'm out, man. I'm out, right? But yeah, so if you go to We Are Family, We Are Metal, wearefamily.com, that's where this Bible's from. What it is so there's a lot of Christian metal bands out there, and there's a guy named Pastor Bob. I've shared a couple of his videos on my channel. I don't know which channel, but he's been a big supporter of the heavy metal scene and the Christian scene. So that's where I got this. My wife got this for me for Father's Day. So that's kind of where that came from. So I know Ike Stevens knows what I'm talking about. And it's got like pictures of these bands that have gone that direction, that originally started secular, But anyways, I talk too much. Yeah, I know. I figured that, Ike. So if you go to his website, I've gotten some great coffee mugs. I've got some great shirts. I'm wearing one of the shirts now. Check it out. Sanctuary. We are metal. We are family. And keeps me in check, man. Keeps me in check. T-Bone, what's up, man? Anyways, why don't you guys watch and listen to stuff that builds you up instead of tears you down, that builds other people up? Try not to watch people that are destroying themselves. ego, I have to keep my ego in check. As a lead singer of a death metal band, I had to keep my ego in check. And there was a time where it wasn't in check, and I lost my whole band. I lost all my friends. And it really humbled me on, like, you know what, maybe it's time to focus differently on what the message of the music is and what I'm really here for. And once I was able to, I didn't kill the ego, but I did put it to bed. I locked it in a cage. And I became very stoic when it came to dealing with other bands and the clubs and the promoters and stuff. You know, if a club didn't have their act together on the sound, I didn't get upset. I just said, you know what, we'll just fix it to where it doesn't matter what the sound man's issues are, we'll make it work. Like, you know, the rates in trucking, yeah, they suck. They really do. But instead of blaming this, that, or the other for that, you just gotta do it. You just gotta get in there, get the work in. And figure out how to survive the next time the rates drop, the next time fuel goes up, which, by the way, fuel's going up. And it takes being humble, it takes being honest with yourself and honest with other people, and it takes the ability to be able to clear your mind and figure out what needs to happen. It's as simple as that. It really is. You know, we talked about simplicity earlier. It's as simple as that. And I'm learning. Am I the perfect person? No. Am I a perfect Christian? No. Am I a perfect husband? No. Am I a perfect dispatcher? No. Am I the perfect truck owner? Absolutely not. And I like Wilburn, what he said, you know, the being perfect, you're probably dead, right? You might as well be, at least. Because you've stopped learning. You know, what's the old adage in trucking? They say the minute that you figured everything out in trucking, it's time to hang up the keys. The minute you think you know it all in trucking, it's time to hang up the keys. And that's true. You should always be learning, because the trucking industry, much like the rest of the world, is changing on a rate that you can't even imagine. There's so many complexities with brokered freight and how freight moves that it could be overwhelming. So overwhelming that it might keep you at a truck stop for 3 days wondering why you can't move a load, because you're frozen in anger and misery and fear. And you know, the best remedy for that is just start moving. Push that brake in and go. Narrow down the 500 options of loads that you have to one, and just pick it and go. And if it wasn't a good load, you'll learn from it. If it wasn't a good rate, learn why it wasn't a good rate. Is it not a good rate because of your cost? Was it not a good rate because you got below what the lane value is? It's as simple as that. Simplify. Quiet the mind. Don't be an ass, and simplify. I don't know why that's difficult. It does have pictures, right? But anyways, thanks for watching now. Don't freak out. It's going to go private for a second, but I'll put it back to public. I would really like to get above 1,000 subs on this channel, so it doesn't automatically go to private if I do a live feed. And I would like to be able to, I need 3,000 hours to be able to accept super chats and memberships. So if you guys can help make that happen, that'd be great. Whether my content deserves that or not, well, I'm working on that. I'm learning. Sometimes I do a video where I say nothing and that does really great. And other times I say too much and it doesn't do good at all. So what does that tell me? People seem to like the cat videos and people seem to like my holster videos. But YouTube doesn't like holster videos. So the same sponsor told me that regardless whether it's business or life, you'll have to learn how to adapt, overcome, improvise, and carry on. He was so right. That's true. That's true. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. I might go live tonight on the big channel. It depends on what mood I'm in, what mood the wife's in. And when it starts becoming cooler outside, I hope to do like some fireside chats. We've got a fire pit here that is grossly underused, but it's just too dang hot right now. Too many bugs, too many mosquitoes that are like, you know, mosquitoes, government robots, whatever you want, right? Whatever you want to call them. But anyways, thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for supporting our cause. And yeah. And pick up a book. Later.